Hey everybody, it's Linda here, and today I'm speaking to one of my clients who wants to share her experiences she had in my coaching program. Lindsey is a Perth-based full-time teacher, and she joined my program roughly around 6 months ago. And this interview is actually part 2 of the series. So if you haven't watched the first one, make sure to watch it first. I will link it somewhere down below. And with that being said, I would welcome Lindsey. Thanks for being here today and sharing your journey. How are you doing?
Good to be here. I'm doing great. Yeah.
Awesome. So let me quickly sum up what happened before and what we were working on right now. And then I would love to ask you some questions that is probably very interesting for a lot of other busy professionals out there. So firstly, your biggest struggle prior joining my coaching program, we talked about this in the last interview, was more so your kind of negative mindset, because this was pretty much the reason for your inconsistent actions and self-sabotage in your daily life. And I remember that your desire was mainly to slim down your waistline and, not feeling so sluggish anymore, and also being more content with yourself and the way you show up for yourself. Is that about right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then in the last interview, we talked also about the outcomes after 3 months of working with me. And we pretty much worked on your routine. And we developed a routine that kept you consistently active and healthy despite your busy schedule at work. And also on top, we improved your stress management with some techniques. And with that also your sleep routine. We added another 2 or 3 hours per night, which is amazing. And this was, as a result, you felt more energetic, which is probably also a result of better nutrition. And I would say after developing those healthy habits, we started to focus more on working out and also dealing with your busy schedule while learning how to sustain everything else that we've been focusing on. So it sounds like a lot. And in the questions, I think we can dissect these areas and the success that you've had. So the first thing that I want to approach is that I talk to a lot of, busy professionals, and mostly they say they don't have the time to focus on the healthy routines, which is, it's definitely something very common that we say we don't have the time. So I want to ask you, as a busy professional, how realistic is it to improve your routines and fitness while also working full-time? And what roughly did you do to get results and change everything?
Well, I would say it definitely is realistic. Initially, it can seem like hard work because I'm guilty of that within my job. Time's always the greatest excuse for not getting anything done. But I think it's about realizing that you just have to use your time in a different way. And that was a big mind shift, that instead of sitting maybe watching an episode of Netflix or whatever, actually that time could be, organizing my food for the next day or being active and outdoors. So it was just about actually, again, shifting my actions in line with what I value. I value my health and my well-being. I just was doing things that weren't in line with that. And I guess, slipped into bad habits of just being overworked a bit within my job. And then it was easy just sometimes to just sit and not do what I wanted to really be doing. So things that I think really helped me were, one simple thing initially was just screen time, which again seems like such a simple thing, but I hadn't even thought to do that until I sort of worked with you, Linda. So I think that was the starting point of actually saying, right, no screens after a certain time. And then I think as we moved through the program, I also looked really at scheduling a bit more of my self-care into my daily routines, which again I'd never really done before. Was here and there grab times to have a nice bath or to sit and relax, but I didn't really make the time for me. And again, I would just let work kind of exhaust me and just get into that habit then of just not wanting to really do anything. So I think the biggest shift for me was actually being disciplined enough to actually prioritize myself. So the work scheduling was a huge success in enabling me to realize that I can achieve a work-life balance, I have to put a bit of work in initially just to get myself up and running, but that's been a huge shift. And I have got to set myself rules a little bit and boundaries for that, so that I don't again kind of shift those goalposts when it comes to work and me. So yeah, those have been two huge things. And then, like I said, just being disciplined on my sleep routine kind of links in with that. But yeah, those are big things that I feel have really helped me to prioritize the time that I need for me and my health.
Absolutely. That was an amazing summary of, what we did, mainly because it's all about stress and time management, that it comes down to actually make the time that we need to prioritize ourselves and self-care, and then also perform better in our daily lives, and be an idol or better team leader or whatever it is that you do. So I think those were really effective, not just for you, but for myself as well. And I was also wondering, you coming to me and getting into all of this, why do you think you'd rather put in the effort than ignoring it? Because, there's always obviously a cost that comes with that. So what would be the cost of not working on your health? Or why did you not choose to ignore it? That's a big one.
Yeah, I think because I'd reached a point where I suppose took a bit of time to realize that I had been just like continuously neglecting myself. And then the longer that went on, the more I was just, again, not spending time on my health and on my well-being. So I was then changing maybe the way that I was eating, changing the way that I was prioritizing my workouts, for example. And I just slowly had stopped doing things that I had been doing previously on my own. But when I think I crossed paths with yourself, Linda, it was kind of like, I don't know, something just clicked in, and I need to do something about this, because this is not who I am. This is not how I want to live my life. And if I carried on, I think I knew I would continue to not be happy. And I think I just recognized that I was in a negative headspace because of the actions that I was taking, or being inactive in a way. So I think I just knew that I didn't want, this is about the one life that you have. And I think I just didn't want to waste any more time being frustrated and disappointed in myself when I knew I could do better. But I think I just acknowledged that I needed help to do better, because I was struggling on my own.
Yeah, thank you for being so transparent with me and everyone watching, because we're all just human beings, and it's definitely normal to have those lows, and realizing it and being aware of it, and not be selfish, so selfish that you are not asking for help. I think that's very important for a lot of people, because most people are ashamed that they are in the situation and they are not able to ask for help. So that's why I also do these interviews. So hopefully someone can see it and get inspired, and just reach us out. And I think, you've been committed this whole time, and you've been getting great results. Like the way you changed, I can tell from the language you use. You are very you reflected, and you are very positive now, and you also seem to be very confident in what you do. So this is really amazing. Let's focus now on the past 3 months, because everything else we covered in the first interview. I'm not going to dive deep on this, but what exactly or specifically has changed in the past 3 months while working with me, and how do you think you could have achieved this on your own after already working with me for 3 months?
Well, I think although initially I just thought, obviously I was in this negative headspace and frustrated that I wasn't maybe as confident in myself, or achieving my health goals. I think the biggest, and it seems so silly to say it now, the biggest realization was that I acknowledged that my biggest barrier to neglecting myself is my work. And I think it was because I am a very passionate teacher. I love what I do, but I have always been guilty of letting that consume me. And it's like, I'm more than just Lindsey the teacher. I have to understand that I'm a person as well, and it is possible to do both. And I think that realization didn't come until later on. And I suppose after the 3 months, I still had that bit of worry in me that I knew at that time I wasn't quite ready to let go of the support, because I felt, and maybe it was because I hadn't made that realization, I hadn't quite identified what was the biggest barrier. I think kind of that realization helped me really then focus on kind of, I need to get that right and kind of take it right back to the scheduling to be able to achieve like my meal prep, to be able to commit to my workouts, to be able to get the sleep that I needed. That all those things then it just all made sense, much more sense then. And then I think then because I kind of knew that, I could really then focus on the workout side of things and really understand more about the kind of 4-week cycle, and really pushing myself in terms of my physical, like the weights that I was lifting. I don't think I would have probably pushed myself to even try such a thing as progressive overload. And I'd never really heard about that or understood much about it. So I think being able to get some of those other things more consistent enabled me to push a bit more with the physical aspects. Yeah, and just I think even just get a better understanding of the macros as well. I think that's just continued to build throughout the time that I've worked with you. So I feel a lot more confident in the food that I'm eating as well.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that is the difference between most fitness courses and me, providing coaching, because finally it comes down to seeing the whole thing and, seeing these paths that are holding you back from doing the plans. Because I could sell fitness plans or meal plans to anybody, but I'm not doing it because I had too many people that are actually not using them or understanding them and are able to sustain things in the future. So now you've been telling me, with all the work on mindset and routine and work and sleep, you realized who you are as a person, who you want to become. And then we started to do little, things or switched things around so you can finally follow this routine and schedule that gets you there. So I think that was a major shift as well. And I'm happy that I was, part of your journey and helped you get there. So finally, now that I'm letting you go, how confident are you to sustain these habits and results in the future by yourself? And do you feel also confident in, applying the methods that we spoke about to get your results over and over again?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned, I think probably after the first 3 months, I wasn't quite ready. And I think I knew that. Whereas now I can say with much more confidence that after this sort of 6 months working together, I do feel so much more confident. Then and all my confidence had increased. Like it's continued to increase. And I feel so much more knowledgeable of myself, really, and knowing what I want, why I'm doing this, really. And I think those healthy habits that I've created just ingrained in me now. And I think having the weekly calls has definitely helped me to just prioritize myself so that I can, focus on the short-term goals that are going to lead to my long-term goals. So I feel like I understand myself a lot better. My mindset is much more positive. And I feel I've also got the tools to help me when I'm going to maybe have those moments where my mindset might slip to be a bit negative. Like I feel like I've kind of, I know I'm not going to be perfect moving forward, but I feel more confident in myself to be able to address that and help myself to get out so that I don't undo all the hard work. So yeah, I think I do just feel equipped. And I think just the week learning how to set the goals and the behavior goals to achieve those goals, I think has really been helpful. So I know how to do that on a weekly basis to continue the whole process.
Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely something that, that's my whole intention, because once one of my clients says that, I'm happy, because this is my main goal. It doesn't always matter on how your body changes or what exactly you eat or so. The big scenario that you see now and the way you feel overall, and that you feel equipped and confident, this is the basis and foundation of everything to come. Like, this is just a start. So I'm very happy that I was able to help you feel more confident and have faith in yourself and the process that you will get there. And yeah, I think now I just would love to know, what are your 2 biggest takeaways from this coaching experience that you want to share with everyone watching this interview? And who is the type of person that you would, recommend to work with me?
Well, that's a hard question because I feel like I've took away so much, but I probably would say like the top takeaway is that it's really important to acknowledge what is the actual kind of barrier as to why you're maybe not achieving your health and physical goals. And it's like, it actually quite often isn't anything to do with, although you might be doing physical and health things that are different to what you really want to be doing, it's because there's something going on in your mindset or in your, like, you psychologically, that is actually stopping you from making maybe better choices or taking better actions with what you're eating or what you're doing. So I think all of that work on the mindset and discussion around kind of what's going on, why do you think you might be doing that, everything's so connected. I think that was huge for me. And then probably the second biggest thing was, I suppose, looking at all of the strategies in terms of putting in place healthy habits. Mm-hmm. So the structure and the way in which you go about kind of putting in place everything that you want and aligning those habits to your values. So I think it's connecting the sort of two things together, because yes, you can work on all the mindset, but you do still then need to obviously act on that. Mm-hmm. So I think it's kind of those two things come hand in hand. It's no good trying to do one without the other. I think it's important that you get the mindset right to be able to then put it in.
Yeah, those are two amazing takeaways, because they are really, why I started this whole thing. So I'm happy that you acknowledge this and realize this as well, because it's not all about the things you do. Like, obviously we have to educate ourselves on how to do the things, but it's all about this step-by-step thing that you follow and then actually get there, because it sounds very complex. And as I started the interview, it feels like we've been doing so many things and it already sounds exhausting for someone being so busy, but there's a process to this whole thing. So if you start out, obviously you map it out and then you break it into parts, and finally we've been visiting the things that we worked on in the beginning and the very end, where we realize, this slipped a little bit, okay, what can we do to actually get back to a better level? And you've been doing amazing. You always found your ways, and you also realize what kind of things hold you accountable, for yourself without my help. So this is, for example, like ticking things off, like something like this for the mind, that has been working for you really well. So like finally, I would just love to know, who is that person that you see working with me when it comes to the way I teach things and the strategies that I implement with my customers?
Well, I would say people who realize this isn't, I guess, a quick fix. It's not a typical, like, oh, he's a 6-week program and he'll, lose all this weight or whatever. It's actually more about, I think, your well-being, really. It's a much more holistic approach, because it's making people realize it's your health, your fitness, your well-being, it's all interconnected. And I think it's for people to realize it is a lifestyle, and it's about creating healthy habits that are going to help you lead a happy and healthy life. So I think it's people who maybe do value those things, but maybe they're struggling in terms of, like I was, maybe formed bad habits and actions that you knew weren't really you, but you were just struggling because of maybe stress at work or something else going on in your life. So I think it's people who understand that this is more than just it's not a quick fix. It's not a temporary thing. It's actually working alongside, someone who cares about you as a whole person, not just as a body or a mind separately. It's actually the whole thing. So I think it's a much more meaningful journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this feedback. This is amazing. It sounds good. It's definitely aligned with my values. I cannot work with people that, think in 2 weeks I can, be super defined and, grow muscles. And it's a journey, and it's, I just pretty much reflect on what happened to me. I've been doing this for years. It took some time, definitely, but with, setting yourself up and getting to know nutrition and your body as well, while you follow certain things that we are implementing, helps you so much to then bring this along and get the results, even if it's later down the road. you've been seeing some changes already when it comes to your waistline, but you know there's so much more, you know, to achieve, and that's totally fine. Like, I'm not here to impress others by, oh, your before and after picture just looks completely photoshopped. Like, this is not how it is. It's about, you are, as you say, a whole person. There's more to work on than just your body. It's the mind as well. It's your routines and schedules. I definitely see people being very busy these days as well. And, you know, if you are busy at work, then you can't have an unrealistic expectation and a fitness coach or nutritionist who tells you to do crazy things. It's all about finding a way to make it happen with your day-to-day life, and be also content and happy with yourself while you do it. So yeah, I think this was an amazing summary. Thank you so much for, you know, being transparent, showing up here and talking about this experience. And yeah, if everyone out there is watching this right now, I invite you to book your first consultation with me to see if it would be a good fit. I'm not going to charge anything for that. And if we decide to work together, then we can do so in the future. So thank you, Lindsey, so much. I wish you all the best.